podcasting from Northwest Pennsylvania. You're listening to the Gen Extra Podcast, a show about Generation X, movies, technology, weird news, and anything else they feel like. Join them every Monday morning. Now, here's your hosts, Dave and Joe.
All right, we are back. Back, dude. How was your Christmas?
Back in the saddle again. It was good. It feels good to be back in. It was one of those things where I was like, oh man, like kind of itching to do the podcast again. Like today rolled around, I'm like, oh, it's podcast day.
I know, we had a week off.
Yeah, and it feels like a bit longer. No, it was good. It was a good Christmas. Good Christmas. Very a bit busy, but good. Didn't do any extensive traveling, which I kind of like. You traveled enough for the both of us, so I figured that was good. I'm gonna stay put.
Yeah,
in the community.
Yeah, I'm still feeling the effects of the travel. Yeah, we went on a cruise for Christmas this year. That was like our family Christmas gift, and it was fun. We had a good time. It was our third cruise, and I gotta say, like I do love cruising, but man, I'm fine with like if we went for like 3 or 4 days. like 7 days like starts to wear on me after a while.
On the 7th day of cruise time,
Debo's ready to go home.
There you go. I'm sure somebody done the 12 days of a cruise or
12 days of cruising.
12 days of cruising. Someone's done that. We'll find that out. I'm sure someone has. That's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, but this particular cruise was a little bit different. Not so much like as far as the amenities and stuff like that, but it was a very rocky cruise, like from the get-go.
Like logistically, or like actually like on the seas, like where
on
the
the
high
seas.
seas.
No, logistically it was par for the course. But
okay,
no, but dude, the first two that we did were both in the Caribbean or the Caribbean, however way you like to say it.
That's a good question. I don't know. Probably both are acceptable, but yeah, okay.
But this one we were in the Atlantic, so we were sailing down towards like Turks and Caicos and the Bahamas. And I tell you what, man, it was definitely the worst out of the three as far as the ship movement.
Oh, really?
Oh my God, dude! Like people were like, it was hard. You couldn't walk in a straight line for the first couple of days. Like it was moving that bad. Like when you were going down to your staterooms and the hallways are like maybe like I don't know 6 feet, 6 feet wide, and you're literally like bouncing off the walls, like literally.
It's not enjoyable to me at all. Let me tell you what. That just does not sound. That doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound fun.
No, and the swells were pretty decent, and there was moments where like the ship would like kind of dip into a swell, and you could feel yourself almost like float for a moment. It was weird, dude. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I think on the third night, I almost got tossed out of bed, and I almost got tossed on the floor, and I was like, I was thinking to myself, the worst. I'm like, man, like if this ship like goes like full Poseidon on us here, like
if it goes full Poseidon,
yeah, like I'm screwed. Like, what do you do? You can't get out. Like we had a balcony room, so at least we could like jump off the balcony if we had to. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like I think about that kind of stuff. I'm sure everybody did at some point during that one, but yeah, but it was fun though. We went to where did we go? Went to Nassau, which in Nassau we stopped at a Margaritaville. And have you ever been to a Margaritaville?
No, I've been near them, but I've never actually been to a proper Margaritaville.
Yeah, this one, I'm not sure if they're all like this, but this one you had to pay quite a fee to get into. And I was asking the lady that was taking all of our money. I was like, what comes with this hefty fee to get into the establishment? And she's like, nothing. I'm like, nothing. Like no free drinks, nothing. It's like, no,
no, you just paid it.
Just to be the other side of the door,
sir. Would you like to see the other side of the door? Then you will pay me money.
Like, wow, okay, all right. So I'm thinking like, all right, so they charge you like out the ass to get into this place. Like maybe they have like reasonably priced drinks. No, that was not the case. So like we went up and got like they were like ship prices. It was like $15-16 for a drink. I'm like, dear God.
Whoa.
So our first like, round of drinks was like $70 with a tip. I'm like, well, this is going to get expensive real quick.
Yeah.
So we were walking through like their gift shop area, and in their gift shop, so I found a loophole here. In the gift shop, they had a cooler with like sodas, and they also had some Bacardi in the cooler.
Oh, well, fancy that.
I'm like, So I'm sitting there staring at it, and I start like doing the math. I'm like, this is a better option. So we bought 3 bottles of Bacardi and a bunch of Cokes. It just made our own mixed drinks. We just kept hiding it. But yeah, that was how we got around paying the outrageous beverage prices.
That's excellent. Next time you go, they're going to have up their prices of Bacardi at the gift shops.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like the liquor store price. It was still a little expensive, but it was definitely cheaper. Like it was like 2 to 1. Like we could get twice as many drinks for the price. So it worked out.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, there you go. See, clever, you know?
Yeah. And we
use your brain.
We stopped the Dominican Republic, and I don't remember what we did there, but the coolest stop we had was when we stopped at Grand Turk. And I guess on Grand Turk, it's like a 7-mile island. It's not very big.
Okay.
We rented a golf cart, a 6-seater golf cart for all of us. And we buzzed around the island, and on this island, which by the way, like there is like the like touristy part, like by the beach and stuff like that.
Okay.
When you just go venturing around the island on a golf cart, you're driving through like what kind of resembles like third world country. Like it's rough, dude. It's really bad.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that's typical.
Yeah. But so we went to the northernmost part of the island, and when I visited the lighthouse they had up there, it was really cool. But on this island, the interesting part of it was there used to be a salt mine, and they had donkeys that would carry the salt out of the mine. And when they shut it down years ago, they just let the donkeys loose, and they have since procreated and made more donkeys. And now the whole island is riddled with wild donkeys.
Oh no!
Which has become like a tourist attraction for the island. So like
just go visit the donkeys. Like that's
anywhere
what
you go, there's donkeys. So people drive around and they'll sell bags of carrots, and you can just break them up and feed them to the donkeys. And that's what we did. We just found random ones and stopped on the side of the road, fed them, kept going. And then the beaches, I will say, were pretty fantastic there at Grand Turk. But yeah, other than that, we had a great time, great cruise. There was one highlight I will mention to this cruise.
I'm curious to hear this. Yes.
So the one thing that kind of like made this cruise, I don't want to say more tolerable, because I don't hate cruising. It's just it's vacations in general for me. I just get I'm ready to go home after a few days.
Yeah, we've covered that before, where you kind of you have a limit. Like with beaches, you're like that. You're like, nope.
Yeah. So on this one, we found something to entertain ourselves on a daily basis anywhere we went.
Okay.
My daughter and her, like one of her best friends, roommate, she went with us, and her and I kind of like grabbed this idea and just ran with it.
Oh no!
It was so funny, dude. We downloaded this app that had 180 different fart sounds on it.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
Well, I'm a grown man, but I was definitely a grown man child for part of this cruise, dude. We were just playing these sound effects everywhere that you probably wish we didn't, and like in elevators, just every opportunity we had to embarrass ourselves, we took it, and it was so funny, dude. And like we were in like gift shops on the islands, just walking through, just hitting these like sound effects.
Oh my gosh! I can totally picture that too. That's the sad part.
Oh yeah,
like, yep.
My stomach hurt so bad from laughing so much. Yeah, it was very comical. So I highly recommend it if you want to have some fun on vacation.
Get a fart app.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, too funny. Too funny.
So anyway, so that was the cruise. Made it back, and just was very, very tired. Like most people need a vacation after a vacation, but I really do after after spending 7 days on a boat. Like I'm tired because you're never like I don't sit still. Like I'm always like you know how they show people on like a cruise like commercial, just chilling, relaxing by the pool on the boat, chilling. Nothing. I didn't do it once. I don't do that. I just move around. So we were putting like 7-8 miles a day, like just walking around the boat.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, so anyway, what do we got going on the show, man?
Well, hey, a lot of things, right? There's some good national days. Obviously, there's some good national days coming up as the year is coming to an end. One of the biggest days, if you will, coming up with New Year's. We have a few weird news stories coming up, which, you know, for both of us, actually, things that I found during the break and bookmarked on our list and I completely forgot about it. I'm like, wait, was that me or is that Dave? I'm like, oh, I'm with that. Yeah. And then I went to, I had an experience as well. It was, I guess, kind of cruise related. Did you ever see the show White Lotus? Are you familiar with the show White Lotus?
I've heard of it. What is it? I haven't seen it.
It's basically, it's a like a thriller drama kind of series about this really, really bougie hotel chain, like really, really swanky, like elite hotel chain. And they have multiple seasons, each take place in a single like White Lotus hotel, but it's almost like a murder mystery kind of thing. And they hook you with like, you know, somebody dies and you don't necessarily know who. Like they tease it, they hook it at the start of the season. This isn't spoiling anything. That's the whole premise of it, right? And you spend the season
finding out who died.
Finding out and piecing everything together. And it's intrigue and it's like decadence and it's just drama and you know, it's a lot of stuff going on. They're pretty good shows. I'd recommend them. But it's like this, it's a different world, right? So, you know, you and I are comfortable enough. You can go on cruises, I can go on trips. There are those, and you see them a lot in shows, right? Where like this super wealthy, right? Like, especially murder mysteries. It came to mind as I was at this birthday party. We were invited. It was a acquaintance of my wife's and okay. And she's turning 50. Okay. Real big party, right? Well, okay. Get there. Well, there's a full party planner and not like a local party planner. This is like a national, like across the country. Like,
so they flew this person in.
They flew this person in. Okay. They flew in a party planner and this party planner's crew to put this party together. It's a surprise party, which I did not know, which is good because I actually was talking with the birthday individual a week prior and almost said, oh yeah, I'll see you next week. Like I was on the cusp of it because that's, you know, it's cordial, right? Like, oh yeah, I'll see you next week. I didn't say it. And as we're pulling up to this party and getting out for the valet, because I'm like, oh my God, okay, here we go.
They have valet parking too?
Valet parking. This is
a bougie party.
Yeah, dude, it gets worse, Dave.
I'm like, so, when people come to my house for parties, I'm like, park in the field, watch out for the dog shit.
That's really what it is, too, right? Like, what I'm saying, it's like, it was so detached from reality for me. And I'm like, I felt like I was in one of these shows. So you pull in, there's the valet, and I'm like, okay, there's valet. Meanwhile, I'm parking downtown. Like, I had brought, like, Coins Cash parking app. I had made sure everything was updated because I'm like, okay, I don't know where we're going to park. I'm ready to drop, you know, my wife off because it's really crummy outside. Like I'm getting ready to pull up full valet, you know. Oh, okay. All right. Go inside. There's the party planner. There's a sign. Apparently it's a surprise party. She explains the whole thing to you. She's like, well, they're going to be here. They're going to text me. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. To go on down, they have drinks, they have food. Okay. So we go down to this lower level of this venue, which is a really nice venue. It's a cool, like, it's like a social club kind of theme to it. So you know the Vault in Cleveland, right? Where it's got that kind of retro vibe to it.
Yeah.
This place also kind of channels that vibe of kind of a retro, like there's seating and it's cool. But we go down and descend, you know, check our coats, right? I'm like, okay, here we go. And go down and the staff, the bartenders, all female, literally wearing corsets, like corset tops, and the word mini skirt doesn't do it justice. Like it was like a micro skirt, nano skirt. Like it was just like,
like which barely covered anything.
Barely. Like I was in theater, right? I've seen a lot. I was like,
I wonder why they decided to go that route.
I don't know, this place seems so classy on top. And then you went down to this club area and it was like, they had the bottle service areas, which were like roped off, which is something that I'm not intimately familiar with because, growing up in a smaller city, you don't have places that have like bottle service. And the bottle service staff is like sitting aside bored because it was an open bar for this party. But the bottle service girls, quote unquote, were still on staff and just sitting on their phones wearing their corsets. And it was like social club Hooters.
So you can go buy like $1,000 bottle of something.
You could. Yeah, that's what this place is actually designed for. So it's a really high-end place, I came to find out. But the attire really, really... Oh, and they were holiday corsets, too. I should say that they were like the red corsets with like the white frill or like white... It's a fluff across the cusp there. And I'm like, it just looked tacky, if I'm honest. Like, the place was really cool. It had really cool vibes. And then it kind of looked like kind of trashy with that. I was like, oh, okay. But so they show up. It's the birthday woman. Her husband takes the mic, and he's the guy in the shows that probably is the one who got murdered. And like, because like 17 people have like motive. He's like, well, I didn't really do much for this. I just paid the bill. This dude flexed his cash in his speech, I think like 7 times. It was so awkward and uncomfortable. He's like, oh yeah, just anything you want at the bar, anything, nothing's off limit. I'm like, oh, this is uncomfortable, dude. Like, this is your wife's birthday. Like, can you just like tone it down a bit?
Right.
And came to find out later, like, I was, in your mingling, I barely know any of these people anyway, because they're, your partner's coworkers, right? If that was a lot of family. They flew people in, Dave, from all over, like Puerto Rico and like everywhere across the country, like halfway across the world, which not the Puerto Ricos halfway across the world, but there were some that were like over, in Eastern Europe area, like far away. And they flew all these people in for the surprise party and put them up in hotels. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this thing had to have cost.
Did you feel like you shouldn't be there?
Yes, 100%. From the moment the valet took my keys, I felt like I shouldn't be there.
Right.
Like this is
like super imposter syndrome.
It's exactly, you said it right there. It's so funny because I said imposter syndrome and someone kind of looked at me funny and I'm like, are you not familiar with this term? Like, this is a thing. And I was feeling imposter syndrome hard. It was so weird, Dave. It was just, I had to talk. The moment I'm there, I'm like, I have to talk about this on the show.
Yes.
It was just so awkward. And like, they had like all the monitors, like where you would usually have like a football game on behind the bar. Everything was set to like a photo collage of the birthday woman.
Okay.
And like really nice. I mean, they're beautiful shots, like family. It was kind of charming, but then like one photo comes up and he's like, turn around, he's like, look at how beautiful my wife is. Look at her. And like really demeaning to her. Like it was coming through in the speech and it was just awkward and uncomfortable. And I'm like, wow, like
I hope they don't listen to the show.
I trust me, they don't, because they are they're too busy going to Princeton and they're oh my gosh, I didn't realize that Princeton was like what it was. Like I know Princeton as a Ivy League, it's an accomplishment, right? Oh my gosh, do they flex that around?
Oh, dude, anybody that goes to Ivy League schools, like with some kind of prestige, like of course they flex
that added to it. And I found out later on the ride home, apparently at Princeton, if you go to Princeton on financial aid, you are forced to serve food to those that aren't.
Are you serious?
Yes.
They
actually
like
have. Yeah. And that was like tip of the ice. That's the stuff you know about, right? That's what I'm saying. This is known about Princeton. I didn't know it. And I'm like, and again, I don't mean to sling anyone who's going for an Ivy League education. I really don't. But this particular flock of people, I'm censoring myself, were insufferable with their Princeton flex. It was literally like, oh yeah, where'd you meet? Oh, we met at college. And by college, we mean Princeton. I'm like, those words came out of someone's mouth. And I'm like, wow, you're a douche.
Like, it's like, dear God, please do not ask me about myself.
I'm like, I got nothing more to say to you. Like, I'm like, oh, is that the appetizers? Excuse me. And I'm literally chasing down people holding a tray.
So where did you go to school? And you're like, I'm sorry, I have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have to go help the wait staff because I'd rather do that than talk with you for a moment. Give me that tray of canapes. Let me pass these out and pass out some champagne to people. I'd be more comfortable.
So you were put into this world that most people probably don't ever get to see.
No, it was like going through the wardrobe to Narnia. It was. I would have been more comfortable in Narnia. Give me a talking lion and like a goat hooved man. I'd be like, yeah, what's up?
Yeah, like we bought a slushy machine for our back porch, and I thought we were like,
dude, you are amazing. Like your level of comfort is exactly where I want to be. I want to be on Dave's back porch with hot dog rollers on there and a slushy machine.
Yeah, man,
and a slingshot.
Like I thought we were being bougie.
You're just the right level of bougie, man. So that was weird. It was just weird. I just had to share it because like it was the most imposter syndrome I've ever felt in my life. I'm pretty comfortable. You know, I can put on a character if I'm in an uncomfortable circumstance because of my theater stuff. I tend to just go into a character, right? I pick some kind of character, somebody who seems to belong there. I couldn't even achieve that.
You pull out like a pipe out of your pocket and you're just like puffing away on it down there.
Oh, and I honestly, if I had one of those, it would have blown bubbles like Ernie from because that would have been great. Dawn, the whole Sherlock Holmes thing. Yes, absolutely. So that was surreal. And what was really weird is they didn't really have a ton of food, but obviously tons.
Rich people don't eat. They don't eat.
No, they don't eat. They're all skinny, unhappy people.
Yeah. If they do have like little appetizers, they're very teeny.
They were because smaller appetizers, they're super expensive but super tiny. It's like a double flex. Yeah, and that was exactly what it was. You it's funny you weren't even there. You pegged half of my story before I even finished. So that's what I'm saying. That's how archetypal this whole experience was, and you know it from watching television. You know it from watching movies, and it is that. It's like Great Gatsby level of money doesn't matter. And this is what money doesn't matter looks like, and it's so weird. It's like being pulled into the television screen and being yanked into that world. Like quantum leap.
You got pulled in like an episode or like Wolf of Wall Street party or something. Like it's really odd. Dude.
That's what it is, and it's so weird to be in that too. But I left that place so hungry. We literally I was driving home. My wife she's on her phone. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm getting food. She's like, I'm seeing what's open. We totally ordered like a massive amount of takeout from some restaurant that's right by our house. And we swung in. I picked it up. We came home and ate our dinner at like 10:30 at night because I was starving.
Yeah, and I'm sure all the drinks were probably they were probably bougie drinks too, like martinis and you know something this like straight.
The party planner set it up so that they had her like the birthday woman's signature cocktail. Like was on like they had like the board like a little board set out all around the bar and the club. Although you can get her signature cocktail, like this is her favorite drink. You could order that.
You remember what it was?
No, I'm sorry, I don't remember. I stuck to red.
Have one? What would you stick to?
Red wine.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Well, at least you fit in there. I'd be like, yeah, Red Stag and Pepsi.
Yeah, right. Exactly. No. I did. Although I did use ChatGPT because it was a cocktail bar and I didn't know sometimes cocktail bars don't have wine. They don't have good wine. Again, I underestimated.
Wait, what'd you have to use ChatGPT for?
I wanted to learn what guys, I literally told ChatGPT, I said, this is what I like. I like dry red wines, etc. And if I do cocktails, I do this. Give me a couple of cocktail drinks that are going to seem sophisticated that I will like.
That
literally fed it
is hilarious. Dude. What did it come up with?
I'm pulling up the response right now.
What are the sophisticated drinks to order?
So it was something called a Negroni, I think was what it was called. I'm sorry, I'm signing into ChatGPT while I'm here because I want to see what
the hell's a Negroni. Something with like gin.
It can be, but it substituted rum for me. Oh, it's not coming up. I must have been using it incognito.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to search up for it, but it is a cocktail made of, yes, you're right, gin, vermouth.
I knew it.
Yep, Campari. No, and that's it. But ChatGPT picked that for me because it had a dry red wine kind of taste profile to it, and then there was it recommended a rum old fashioned instead of
an old fashioned.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you mentioned the vault, the one when we were in there before, the place is like it has like that kind of like underground kind of bougie vibe.
As it's literally underground, yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's the one thing I remember about when I was ordering like a bourbon and Pepsi, and he wouldn't make me a bourbon and Pepsi. It was just a glass of bourbon with a big round ice cube in it.
Oh, that's right.
And I was like, he's like, I cannot, I can't defile this bourbon with Pepsi.
So he gave you the Pepsi on the side, didn't he?
No, I was like,
He didn't give you it at all? I thought he at least gave you the glass of Pepsi.
Not at first, but then I asked him, I said, can I have a Pepsi? And he goes, are you going to pour it in there? I go, yes, I am. And he goes, at least wait till I turn around.
Oh my God. I think I was there for that. I was not privy for that particular conversation. I think it was when you guys met me. You were like, hey, Breeze, we're downtown.
I think you were there both times we were there. So,
oh my gosh. Either that or it was for the birthday. I don't remember.
Yeah, it might have been, but that was funny though.
So funny.
He's like, I will not.
I will not do this. I will not look. That's so funny.
Why you ruin this fine bourbon. But yeah, so dude, that's a crazy experience, man. I would not have done well in this environment, like at all. I would have.
You probably would have said more than I did. You may have. I don't know. Maybe you wouldn't have.
They're like, who's this silly guy? Like, who brought this guy? My wife would have just been embarrassed.
Well, that is one nice thing about my stature is that I do tend to blend in. Like, I don't. You have 6 foot and change on you. I can simply just blend in. Like, you won't notice me at a party because
I would have been
short.
catching like people like trying to sneak glances at me. Like who is this guy? Like, why is he here? Yeah, and I'm sure. Like, did you get like a dress code? They say like you need to wear like this. Like you should wear.
No, they didn't, and that was one of the things I was laboring over because I knew generally, like I knew they had money. I knew that, and I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna do like button-up shirt, sport coat.
Mm-hmm.
Just
I wouldn't even have done
that. I
that.
was comfortable with my level of attire. I was like, okay, and it was right. It was the good call. Like I showed up and like almost all the guys had sport coats, and I'm like, not all of them. So it was like I was fine. I was dressed appropriately because I was so nervous of this imposter syndrome thing. I'm like, this is going to be. It could be right. I knew what it could be, and then it exceeded expectations on all fronts of insanity. I was like, oh wow, okay, this is worse than I expected.
This is probably a hard question to answer, but maybe just a rough, very rough ballpark guess. What do you think a party like this cost?
given the caliber,
I'm sure you probably thought about it.
Yes, given the caliber, given the drinks, given the time, because it was an open bar from, well, it was officially from 6 to 11 was the party, but it was made very clear to us by both the host and the party planner that even at 11, when the place opened back up, that all of the drinks would still be on his tab. So for those that stayed, even past 11 to close, we're still on his open bar.
I mean, aside from even the open bar, dude, which will get expensive. I mean, probably
right.
10
The
grand.
venue, the party planner, honestly, probably close to $100,000.
Yeah, well, I was thinking like for the cost of the venue, the staff,
everything. And the decorations, like the party planner had like decor, like the place was done up.
Oh, paying for the party planner herself.
Right.
Like she's going to have a big fee as well to do all this. Yeah.
And the hotel actually probably closer to $200,000.
That's insane.
Because they had the hotel. And this was, I'm sorry, I should clarify. This was one of her 50th birthday parties because there were more.
One?
This was the one with family and coworkers and friends, but there were like other like more intimate outings with her close circle because this was a surprise party. She didn't know she was having this. This was Mr. Money. This was Uncle Pennybags from Monopoly buying his wife a surprise birthday party.
That's when you know you got money, man. When you can drop upwards of $100,000 to $200,000 on a surprise party and your wife doesn't find out about it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
If I spent $1,000 on a birthday party, my wife would be like, what do you spend $1,000 on?
Exactly.
Yeah. Like he just spent, 200 grand potentially. She was oblivious it was even gone. Oh my God. That's funny. That's terrible, man. I'm glad I was never, ever part of something like that.
It was interesting. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's, I'm going to take us down a different road here.
Oh, please.
We're going to veer into a couple stories. This one here that I found, Breeze. This actually kind of pertains to the traveling, that I was talking about.
Okay.
So recently, a woman was traveling, and she got onto a plane, and she dozed off, as most of us probably do on a flight.
Yeah. I have a hard time sleeping on planes, but I totally get how you could.
Yeah, I'm like very self-conscious, like when I'm sleeping. Like I never like sleep. I find like I'll wake up and I got like my mouth hanging like wide open. I'm like, oh God, does anybody see me? And
Drooling.
yeah. But no, so she fell asleep and plane landed, which by the way, she slept through the landing, which is impressive.
Bravo.
I'll
have what she's having.
Yeah,
Whatever
exactly.
she was having.
Like I've slept up until like the tires touch the ground and that wakes you up. I'm like, oh God. I'm like, oh, we're on the ground. Okay. And then everybody starts kind of moving about, turning the phones on. Anyway, so she's
You're right. There's a lot of hustle and bustle when you land on a plane, regardless of like, the plane hitting the ground.
Yeah. So yeah, people were moving, they're standing up when they shouldn't be. And anyway, so grabbing their baggage out of the overhead compartments. Well, she just kept on sleeping. Didn't know what was happening. And so everybody left the plane. Plane then went and parked somewhere. She was still sleeping.
No.
And apparently they didn't go through and do like a sweep through because there wasn't another flight to follow. So I'm assuming that they were just going to clean it prior to the next scheduled flight.
And then just dock it.
Yeah. So they turned the plane off, shut the lights off, everybody left. She finally woke up in a dark, empty plane. And she had
like Tales from the Crypt Keeper level.
Yeah. And she had like 1% battery. She had enough on her phone that she sent a text before it died to her friend that said, I just woke up on a plane and it's empty and it's dark. And that was the only thing she could do. And the phone died. So then
my God.
Yeah. So she managed to walk in the dark up towards the cockpit and actually got into the cockpit and rooted around until she found a flashlight in the cockpit. And then she was able to open up the door, like the exit row, like door.
Oh, yeah.
And was signaling from the plane with the flashlight to ground crew workers. And they did eventually get her off the plane. But dude, like that's crazy. Like how do you sleep hard, man? Like how do you sleep through all that?
That's gotta be that cannot be unassisted sleep.
No, she had taken something, man.
Like, I'm sorry, even when I am like feeling tired, like the number of times how many times have you gotten hit in the head with a bag of somebody disembarking a plane?
Oh, I know.
Like, because like plane landing notwithstanding, that rhymed. Welcome to Dr. Seuss with Breeze.
Yes.
And you still would like, that's a lot of people moving.
It is.
Like,
and she had to have had a window seat because if she was either middle or aisle, they would have had to nudge her, crawl over her. Like, and then everybody, assuming she wasn't in the very, very back corner, like so many people would have had to have gone past her just and noticed that she's like out.
You're right. She had to be in there's no way. And honestly, shame on the flight crew. Like,
yeah. How do you not see someone? How do you not see someone back there sleeping?
Planes they're big. They're not that big, and they're in a straight line. It's not like there's a blind corner on a plane. It's a literal lateral tube. Like, all you have to do is walk a straight line 75 feet in one direction and then walk 75 feet back. That's the sweep. It's not complicated.
No, that's why I'm thinking it was definitely like the last flight, obviously, of their shift, their day, and they all just left. And didn't care what was going on. No garbage, no nothing. They were just out. Because if they did one garbage sweep, they would have found her.
Well, absolutely. That's the other thing. Yeah, my gosh. Like, at least check the back pockets for the trash, which is where everyone shoved them.
Yeah.
Even though you're told not to. Oh, man, that's a lawsuit. I'm not a litigious person, but that's a lawsuit in waiting right there. That's a lawsuit. Like, you close me into a hangar, or not even into a hangar, but you close me into an idle airplane. You didn't do a safety sweep, which I'm sure the FAA actually requires you to do. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I'm glad she's okay. Actually, I would give her credit though. Like the presence of mind, get into the cockpit, get the emergency kit, get the flashlight, open the exit door, which granted, those are so clearly labeled. It's not even funny. I think my 6-year-old could open the exit door because it's pretty obvious how you do it. But like, bravo. Like her
to
presence
even be
of mind,
brave enough to do so. Like I would almost feel like I shouldn't do it.
her presence of mind seems really like, I kind of applaud this person. Like she kind of did what she needed to do. The text message, the flashlight, signaling the ground crew, like pretty cool story.
Yeah.
And bravo to her. And I hope she gets a decent settlement from the airline.
Yeah, no doubt. Actually, on the heels of this flight story, I actually completely forgot about the tail end of our vacation.
Oh, okay. Please do tell.
Sorry to cough. So on our flight home, we end up catching a later flight in the day. So we just kind of bummed around Orlando for a little while and went to the airport, and you can check your luggage in like 4 hours before your flight.
Okay.
So we actually showed up 4 hours and 2 minutes. So we had to wait a second. And then so we're like, fine, we'll wait the 2 minutes. So anyway, we checked our stuff in, and then we just kind of just hung around the airport, just found something to eat, just chilled in the terminal. Anyway, got on the flight, and this is like a two-part story here, but so we come to find out that the flight that we booked to go home was also a very popular flight for all of the Disney goers to go home too.
Oh, yep.
So
there we go.
on Southwest, what they do is, if you've ever flown Southwest, you have to get on the app and you have to log in and reserve your spot, like register, whatever you do. And you're like, oh, okay, I'm in boarding group, B, number 13 or whatever. So that gives you your position in line to get on to find a seat. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we were like mid B's, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like mid B's, you're pretty much guaranteed you're going to be sitting with whoever you're flying with.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And it's like C or D.
Yeah, it's like the last half of C. You're pretty much left with whatever you can find. So, but on Southwest, in between the first and second half of A boarding, they do this thing where it's any families, please, go ahead and board the plane. And, any small families with small children, line up here in between these two groups, and you can go ahead and get a seat, which is normally like whatever, fine. There's like a few families with little kids. Well, on a flight leaving Disney,
as everybody,
dude, it literally was. It was like 75 families. Like there was so many people, and
oh no,
and then strollers, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, this is a lot of people. I'm like, we're definitely not sitting together, that's for sure. So I'm kind of irritated, and of course, my wife is like, she's like, stop, she's like, nothing you can do about it. She's like, stop complaining. I'm like, well, this is stupid. Why did we even reserve like our space in line when it clearly doesn't matter at all for this flight? So, but I get it. She brought up a good point. She's like, well, if we were flying with small kids, wouldn't you want to sit with them? I'm like, yeah, whatever. Yes, fine. So anyway, so we got on board, and of course, like by the time they all boarded, we were like C-59. Like there was literally 8 people left. There was 8 of us left after all those families boarded.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so we had to go on and just find a seat. So none of us sat together. And I sat beside some woman who clearly didn't care about invading my space. And just had both elbows out to the sides, like had her iPad on her lap. And I'm like, damn you, woman. This is a 2-hour flight. So anyway, we're getting ready to leave, and the captain comes on, or the pilot, and he's like, yeah, it was like a slight delay. He's like waiting for some luggage. It's like, might just be a few extra minutes here. So like, I'm pulling up my app. I'm like texting the rest of our group. I'm like, check your luggage. We all have air tags in our luggage, and
smart.
Luggage is not with us. I'm like, dear God. I'm like, they're waiting for our luggage. I'm like, it's not here. Like mine's not here. No one's here. So it was 45 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
And they finally, yeah, we sat there for 45 minutes waiting for this luggage to show up, which was ours. Like, I don't want to tell anybody else. Like, that's my stuff, guys. Like, but anyway, so my bag, I saw it show up, and I'm like, mine's here. It's here. I'm like, your guys, everybody else is probably here too. So they finally got the luggage on. We took off, landed in Pittsburgh, and we're at baggage claim. And I get my bag. We got one other bag, and then, the other 150 people are slowly grabbing all their crap until we're the last one standing there with a carousel with like one bag on it. I'm like, shit.
God. Oh my gosh.
And then it stops. Like it was like out of a movie. Like the carousel stops. We're all just still standing there. I'm like, well, like, I don't think it's coming. So we had to go over and find out from them that, yeah, it is still in fact in Orlando. 5 bags.
And you checked early, like you checked them early, like you put them in, and they just never got there.
Never got there. Yep, 5 of our bags were missing, and they confirmed, yes, they are still there, and they said they should be here tomorrow. Luckily, my daughter and her roommate were staying in Pittsburgh that night, so they went back the next day and did get them. Thank goodness.
Oh my gosh!
But yeah, so that was a fiasco. We almost had to go back, but we were able to avoid that trip at least.
Oh my gosh, that's awful.
Yeah,
that is a rough trip. That is you didn't get locked in the plane, but that's still a rough trip.
That was the first time I've ever lost a bag. Never ever have I ever lost a bag flying.
It happened to me once. They actually tagged my bag with someone else's tag. Like it went to Kansas City. I actually checked my bag and it actually had like John Smith, whatever it was on it. And I'm like, so now that's the one thing I will like triple check is like make sure that they tagged my bag with the appropriate ticket. I don't know how you mess that up because like they literally, I mean, you go to the bag check, right? They give you have to give them your boarding pass, which got your name on it, your destination on it, like your ID, your driver's license, like so many checks in place. How do you just press the wrong button and give me like, Tim Smith's?
Hey, they're only human, Breeze. They made a mistake.
I know. I will give them credit. I forget what airline it was, but I did what you did. I waited. It wasn't there. Went to the office of the airline. And I said, hey, it's not there. They ran it. Said it got shipped to Kansas City, right?
Like crap.
Like we'll get it on. There's actually, fortunately, she's like, well, there's a flight from Kansas City to Cleveland in like an hour.
Oh, did you just hang out and wait for it?
No. Oh God, no. Because it was not arriving in an hour. It was leaving Kansas City in an hour. So I went home, but honestly, within like it landed, they must have sent a courier, whatever. Bag showed up at my door.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh yeah, they delivered it. Like we'll deliver it. Like confirm your home address, and we'll send you a text. And they did. It arrived at like 11:30 that night, and it was like got text message, bags on your front door, rang the doorbell. That was it. I was like, cool. Like that could have been a lot worse. And it was a return trip too, right? I was home. I didn't lose my luggage on the way to my destination and was stuck with nothing, with the clothes on my back. Because that's really your horror story, right? Is that you don't have enough in your carry-on and you got nothing. Yeah,
we did mention that too, that we were happy at least it didn't happen before we got on the boat.
Oh yeah, because now you're stuck.
Or 5 of us would have had no clothes.
Do they have a lot of clothiers on the boat?
No.
Shops?
No, not enough. Yeah, but let's jump into another story here. You had one here. It says novelty plates result in horrible experience. What happened here with this story?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. As a person who had a novelty plate for a while and then who now has not a novelty plate. I had a vanity plate. Let's put it that way. I had a vanity plate, custom plate, right? J Breeze, right? On my car. Mm-hmm. You've seen.
I remember, yeah.
I don't anymore, but now on the front I have, when I went to Universal, I bought an out of time for Back to the Future novelty California plate, right? And because Ohio no longer requires front plates, I just mounted it onto the front plate of my car. It's novelty, it's California, it's out of time, everyone knows what it is. Well, I found this story and I found this absolutely fascinating. So there's a woman in New York, in Long Island, and she was issued by the state of New York a license plate that was NCC 1701. Okay. To me, that's innocuous. Apparently, to any of our Star Trek listeners, that's a huge deal because that's the serial number on the side of the Star Trek Enterprise.
Oh, okay.
So NCC 1701 is a really, really big thing. Well, apparently, lots of people, as a result, who live in states that don't require front plates, have NCC 1701 plates on the front of their cars.
Oh, no.
Right. So they've got a New York plate, presumably, with NCC 1701 on the front as a Star Trek reference. Their legal plate is on the back. But, I mean, the age we live in, all the toll by plate, everything along those lines. Well, this poor woman who who has the actual New York license plate, for the past 4 years has incurred thousands of dollars in tolls, tickets, and fines because they're finding her plate. They're finding her New York plate because she had the bad luck to be issued NCC 1701. She's received hundreds of summons from 23 other states to collect her money.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're going to correct this.
Oh, they did. The good news, the happy ending of this story is that they have gotten her off of this. She has been exonerated of all of these things.
I'm like, I would like a different license plate, please.
Yeah, it's truly resolved.
Yeah.
They contact. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is too.
Yeah, time for a new plate.
Yeah, the federal DMV actually got involved. Like her lawyer went all the way to the top and was like, nope. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. I have a story I found here too. It's a bit of a bummer.
Here you are with your bummer stories again. All right, go ahead.
All right. So this is a terrifying story because I have a slight fear of sinkholes. This happened right here in Pennsylvania. It says a PA woman who fell into sinkhole found dead, officials say. So it says the body of a 64-year-old Elizabeth Pullard, rest in peace, I feel terrible for this woman and her family, was found several days after she fell into a sinkhole in Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania. Let's see, she was searching. Okay, so she was looking for her cat. And,
okay.
And I'm trying to remember here. What was it? So I think she pulled up in her car, and I believe like her granddaughter or daughter, somebody was in the car, and she parked it, got out because she saw the cat, and then went to go get the cat, and then the ground proceeded to sink under her, and she was in in a sinkhole for 80 hours.
Oh no!
Yeah, dude, like that's not the first sinkhole that has happened as of late in Pittsburgh. There was one, if you remember, it was like downtown, and a bus like fell into a sinkhole in the middle.
Right into it. I remember seeing the pictures of that.
Yeah, and they're like for a little while they were happening in Florida a lot, where like an entire house. Like I remember I saw a story where this poor guy was like laying in bed in his house, and a sinkhole opened up under his bed and like swallowed his entire bedroom. That's insane.
That is nuts.
Like
that sounds. Oh, that's horrible.
I know. I'm really bumming the show out now, but
we had some lighthearted stories about getting stuck on an airplane, and here you go.
Yeah, but no, dude, sinkholes are such a weird like phenomenon. Like that they even happen like that, and like the fact that they'll just swallow a house, is just crazy to me. That they'll just, I don't know if it's like underwater, like the underwater. Or underground water, and it's just
water in the caverns and stuff. Yeah,
it starts just eroding the soil from under you, and then you just never know, man. It's horrible. It's a horrible thing. Yeah,
frightening.
A horrible way.
God, I'm really glad I don't live in that part of that part of the world. Like,
well, apparently we do over here in Pennsylvania.
Well,
yeah, I haven't heard any from Cleveland, so you might be okay.
No, we don't have many sinkholes here that I'm aware of. Right? The problem is you never are until they happen. Oh my gosh. Well, that's tragic. Oh my gosh.
Well, let's do this last one here. You have on here. It's called the Neighborator. What's this?
Oh, the Neighborator. Yes, this kind of intrigued me. So I came across again. It's stuff comes in your newsfeed. So when you think of the Neighborator, what comes? I mean, I don't know if you looked at the link or not, but like, what comes to mind? Because the name itself kind of seems silly to me. But you're familiar with a kegerator,
yeah?
Right. All right. Well, this is basically like a beer fridge. I don't know how to describe this thing. I would recommend you click it because you might need help describing this thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at
it. The Neighborator is made by Natural Light, one of our favorite beers, as we all know. Some Natty Light. Can't go wrong with some Natty Light. They have manufactured a double-sided beer fridge.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's like on one side is on one side of the fence.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah. It's like a pass-through beer fridge, which is designed to
so you can share your beers with your neighbor.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. This is I can't. I mean, this strikes me as such a joke thing, obviously, but it's like, cut a hole in your fence and put a beer thing in there, and I'm like,
I don't want you over here.
I don't want you over here.
But I'll share a beer with you.
Here's some crappy beer for you. But the visual of this thing, I just saw it and I'm like, this is insane. You truly just, you could just share beer out through your fence. It's like a 2-sided refrigerator. It looks more like a vending machine than anything.
It does. This has to be faked. It has to be fake.
It has to be. Well, there's no way you could basically like serve beer in an open setting like that and have that accessible to.
Well, who would want this? Who would like? No one's gonna be like, oh, it'd be great. Like if I had a cooler that we could share through the fence. Like there's no like, oh, that sounds like a great idea. Like there's nothing about this that even like makes sense.
I know, it's so crazy. Although I'll be fair, Dave, if I live next to you, I might buy and install one of these just for the joke of it,
just for the lulz.
The lulz. Of course, for you, you'd probably have to walk farther to get to your fence line. Like in my neighborhood, this works because like I can like reach out and like get my fence within 8 to 12 feet, but. This is only for densely populated residential areas. It's an absurd concept, but I think it's kind of funny. Yeah. It's brand new double-sided beer fridge designed to be installed in the fence line that separates you from your favorite neighbor.
That's funny. Separates you from your favorite neighbor. That's just dumb.
We dreamed up a natural way to forge a connection, says the head of marketing for Bush and Natural Family at Anheuser-Busch. Real
quick, I want to tell one more cruise story before we end the show.
Great.
So, two more. So I want to talk about one moment that I use the quote unquote app, the Fart app. There was on the cruise there was this big theater area that you could just kind of walk through and you could go down and sit and watch these big performances. And it was like 3-4 stories tall. It was a really big room.
Wow.
And Grace's friend and I were walking through. We were actually trying to find Carrie and Grace. We got separated. And we were walking through there, heading to where we thought they were, which is where they were. But anyway, so we stopped by and we were listening to this big orchestra performance of like some Christmas music. And we stopped for a second and I was listening and I pulled out my phone and I queued it up. So we're standing there, and so like it was at the end of the song. There was this big and then I hit the button.
Oh no!
Like it was the end of this big piece, and then it went silent, and I hit the button, dude, and I was so embarrassed because it was so loud because no one was saying anything or clapping at that point.
Oh my gosh.
But
you're a hero amongst men. You realize this, right?
Yeah. So I actually want to talk about I want to talk about beginner's luck because on every cruise ship there's a casino.
Okay.
And usually we'll stop in several times throughout the the journey and just play a few machines and leave, whatever. But so one of us sat down and who didn't want to play like much, literally pulled out a crumbly $1 bill, stuck it in the machine, hit the button once on, I think it was an 88-cent bet or 66 cents, something like that, like the lowest denomination bet you can make. Hit it once, like won their money back, hit it again, sprung a feature, like a bonus feature, and ended up winning like $135.
Oh my gosh.
Off of $1.
That's a heck of a return.
I was like, wow.
Cruise, man.
Yeah. And then the other one was really awesome. So like we've been on several cruises and we'll like we're kind of familiar with the casinos and what machines, kind of are a little bit easier to win on. There's other ones that are just like pretty much just take your money. And so I was in there for like maybe like 15 minutes, played a couple machines, left, and I was leaving. And I ran into Carrie's parents. They were coming off the elevator. I'm like, hey, where are you guys going? And they're like, we're heading over to the casino. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, have fun. And I'm like, I stopped for a second. I'm like, do you guys actually know like what you're doing? Like, what are your plans? And they're like, I don't know, I'm just gonna go throw $20 in the machine. I'm like, okay. I'm like, do you have any idea where you're going? like with this? And they're like,
go to a casino.
they're like, no, because they're not gamblers.
Yeah.
Not that we are like big gamblers, but we've been in casinos, So I was like, I'll walk back through with you. I was like, I'll see if I can find a machine that might be, I don't know, maybe you can have some fun. You're probably gonna lose $20. And so we're walking through. I'm like, no. I'm like, these ones kind of suck. I'm like, this one's not bad. So we found this machine, and I can't even remember what it was, but I remember I was like, I know this machine's not terrible. So I was like, all right. I was like, here, check this one out. I was like, park it right here. And I said, throw your $20 in, prepare to lose, just bet $1. And so they sat down, they played like 5 spins, and her dad was like, he looks over Carrie's mom, and he's like, man, I'm not having any luck. He's like, why don't you push the button once? So she reaches over and she pushes the button, springs a feature. I'm like, what is happening?
Oh my God.
So they like it hits like 6 orbs or whatever to start this feature. And then one of the balls lands, and it's a super grand chance. And okay. I'm like, well, that's a good ball. I'm like, well, you got a chance to win like the big grand. I'm like, well, I told him, I said, well, you're probably not going to win the grand off $1 bet. I said, but you definitely win something here. So that's a good ball. So the feature was over, and it started spinning this super grand ball, and it stopped, and it said 1500. And I'm like, on a penny denomination. I said, that's usually $15. I said, but there's a dollar sign in front of that. I'm like, I think you guys just won $1,500.
Oh my gosh.
Sure enough, they did.
That's nuts.
Yeah. They spent like $6 and won $1,500. I'm like, what is happening?
That's a crazy cruise, man.
Yeah. So
I gotta go. Okay, that's it. I'm cruising with you from now on. There's no other way to do this now. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
It's my only recourse to make some money.
Yeah, super beginner luck.
That's crazy. That's awesome. Well, cool.
Yeah. So that was fun.
And then they bought you 2 drinks with that money.
We had the drink package.
Oh, that's right. You told me about that.
Yeah.
That was just the Margaritaville. Maybe that $750 for the covered charge of Margaritaville.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, awesome, dude. Awesome.
Right.
Sounds like a great trip.
It was fun. It was fun. So let's wrap this one up, though. Yeah, I got to actually head off to other things here. So enjoy your family thing you're doing today, Breeze.
I will, yeah. Hosting the in-laws. Woohoo! Yippee-ki-yay. Your afternoon is going to be much more fun than mine.
Yes, it probably will be.
I'm so jelly.
Yeah, but I hope everybody has a nice New Year's that's coming up here a couple days after this comes out. And, we'll actually see everybody. We'll see everybody next year.
Next year, ha ha, dad joke, ha ha ha.
Oh my God! All right,
my listeners.
All right, guys. Thanks for checking us out again, and we'll see you on the next one.